Oh, look, it's week 10, and still nobody knows what's going on. Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to an episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. Totally caught it in the first time, Grossi. And today we are going to be attempting to rank the top 10 teams heading into week 10 of this NFL season. And listen, I know it's become a running gag every single week of, nobody knows what's going on, but each week, I just have a little bit of faith, a little bit of optimism that things will get a little bit more clear. I am wrong. I am completely and totally wrong. This is the definition of a week-by-week league. You had the Lions lose. You had the Colts lose. You had the Green Bay mother-loving Packers lose. And so everything is pandemonium right now, and I have no idea what's going on. And I'm scared. I'm not going to lie. And so heading into this week, we got a few honorable mentions. We'll try to break down and rank the top 10. But yeah, at this point, it's anybody's guess. Starting off with some honorable mentions, I gotta shout out the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers, they walked into Lambeau Field and they were able to knock off the Green Bay Packers with a score of 16-13. It came down to a game-winning field goal in a game where Bryce Young really did not have to do much. In fact, he did have an interception in the end zone, and he barely had over 100 passing yards. However, and this is where you got to give some credit to the Panthers offense, their offensive line did a really nice job at neutralizing any kind of pass rush from the Packers. They had one total sack, which came from Xavier McKinney, and hell, Micah Parsons, for the first time in his career, was held to 0 pressures. And of course, the hero of the day, Rico Dowdle, who, of course, this was the one week where the Panthers came out and said, you know what, we're going to give the ball to Rico, because the past couple of weeks they decided to split carries with Hubbard, and last week they got blown out by the Bills. And so, of course, Rico absolutely dominated the Packers defense, which is supposed to be one of, if not the best run defense in the entirety of the NFL. And looking at the Panthers right now, they find themselves in second place in the NFC South. Hell, they're 2 games above the Atlanta Falcons right now. And while there are definite question marks about the Panthers, and I think they do need to play better if they're going to get a playoff spot, the fact that they have found such a dependable run game with Rico, their defense has been playing well, and even though that offensive line has been shuffling all over the place, they were able to go and get a big win on the road. So because of that, I gotta shout out the Panthers, much to my chagrin, and yeah, not a great week. Then another honorable mention, I gotta shout out the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers, they tumbled out of the top 10, but they just keep on clawing their way back into these power rankings. And even though they're not in the top 10, they at least deserve an honorable mention. I thought that, okay, now they gotta totally be done now. After all these injuries, the last week they lost to the Texans. It was not a pretty game going up against a really good defense. But this week, they faced off against the Giants. And even though they had even more injuries with Mykel Williams being gone for the season, which is... dude, I mean, at what point are they just going to stop getting injuries? I don't know. And honestly, I'm sorry, 49ers fans. You have this Packers fan sympathy. However, the 49ers were able to knock off the Giants because of one man, and that is Christian McCaffrey. Once again, was their leading rusher and leading receiver. And like we've been talking about, even though the 49ers offense is literally just running through CMC, the fact that they are still competitive and are still vying for a top spot in their own division, they deserve a lot of credit. So because of that, they're going to get a shout out this week. And who knows, maybe the 49ers can pull off a miracle and find themselves in the top 10 next week. Then the shout outs just keep on getting better. We got to shout out the Chicago Bears. The Bears. They lost to the Baltimore Ravens last week, and I was like, okay, good. They didn't have Lamar Jackson, that little win streak they went on. No big deal. And then heading into this game in predictions, I picked the Bears to beat the Bengals, but good God, they were able to do it without any defense whatsoever, as they still have a litany of injuries. And on top of that, DeAndre Swift didn't even play. However, that offense was able to score a ton of points, scoring 47 points against the Bengals. And even though the Bengals have arguably the worst defense in the league, the Bears still deserve some credit here. They're another team that I don't really know what their outlook is going to look like going forward. Once they get healthy in the secondary, I think that Bears defense will be much better. But considering they were able to get a big win against Cincinnati, get back in the win column, I think they deserve some credit here. They are still fighting in that NFC North, which after the Vikings win, it seems to be anybody's division. So for now, the Bears get a shout out, and hopefully I don't have to do too many more of these. And then finally, for the honorable mentions, you got the LA Chargers. The Chargers, they were involved in a pretty darn close game with the Tennessee Titans, and if the Titans had an offense, watch out. And while the Chargers have been pretty damn good this year, Justin Herbert is having a phenomenal season. The Chargers suffered some more losses in which Joe Alt got injured once again on the same ankle. And it was announced that he will need surgery that will likely end his season, which is honestly just brutal. And so this is a huge loss for the Chargers, who they have already been playing without their top offensive lineman in Rashawn Slater. And after just getting Joe Alt back, yeah, this sucks a whole lot. However, the Chargers did make a last-second trade for Saints lineman Trevor Penning, so we'll see if he's going to be able to help fill in. The good news is they should be getting Omari and Hampton back sooner rather than later, and so that run game, which has already been pretty solid with Vidal, even though he didn't do really well against that Titans defense on Sunday, they should be able to still move the football. And if Justin Herbert's able to get some kind of help, even if it's not from his offensive line, but is from a dedicated run game, I still think the Chargers are going to be a pretty damn good team this year. They're still vying in that AFC West, which is insanely competitive, and so the Chargers get a shout out. I just hope they don't have any more injuries, and let's see how far Justin Herbert can take them. And so getting into our top 10, starting off with number 10, welcome back the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers got to enjoy their bye week this week, and during that time, I'm sure they looked into every single option to get Mike Evans back on that field.
We can rebuild it. We have the technology. But I don't want to spend a lot of money.
But the Buccaneers desperately needed this bye week, and the reason that they're back into the top 10 is, one, because they are one of the better teams in the NFL. On top of that, after losing to the Detroit Lions, in which their team was pretty much decimated, the Lions secondary was definitely not doing so hot either. The fact that the Buccaneers are now getting healthier, Bucky Irving could be back really soon, and that will be a big boost. One of their offensive tackles could be back, and just getting more protection for Baker Mayfield and having a dedicated run game, yeah, I think that's going to do wonders for that offense. On top of that, Baker Mayfield was playing injured. And so if the Buccaneers are able to get healthy, they are in prime position to win their division. We talked about the Panthers. While they did get a win, the Falcons, who you would argue are the Buccaneers' main competition, they lost yet another game, this coming to a missed extra point at the end. And the Saints, yeah, well, they've only won one game this season. So the Buccaneers are in a really good spot right now. If they're able to get healthy down the stretch, I think that they are going to be a problem come playoff time. I know we're nowhere near the playoffs as of right now, but for the Buccaneers, they're in good shape. I have them at number 10, and let's hope they get healthy sooner rather than later. Number 9, they're taking a tumble. You got the Detroit Lions. The Lions. Yeah, that was a tough game. And to be completely honest with you, the Packers are not far behind. And you could argue, oh, no, we could put the Packers at 9 and the Lions at 8. The only reason is the Packers beat the Lions all the way back at week 1. I know Lions fans are still not over it, but we'll see it on Thanksgiving. But the Lions, their offense was atrocious against the Minnesota Vikings. You got to give a big shout out and a lot of credit to that Vikings defense. Van Ginkel was a game changer in that game. And Lions fans, yeah, they have some feelings for John Morton after seeing how that offense came out against Minnesota.
Go! You disgust me! Go!
J.J. McCarthy was able to do enough. The run game was going, and for the Lions offense, it was just not good. You look at the play calling, how they were using the sun god. They couldn't get their run game going. They couldn't protect Jared Goff, and overall, it was a very tough game for the Lions. Now, the good news, the Lions are still a really good football team, though I do think this casts some doubts as to how good they actually are, but don't worry, the Packers are in the same boat, and now, as we talked about with the Bears, this just gets these teams closer closer and closer to the Packers and the Lions, and that NFC North, yeah, it's just confusing. And considering you had 3 playoff teams last year and neither one of them won a single playoff game, who knows if that's where we're heading once again. The Lions, they're coming in at number 9, which may seem harsh, but yeah, they lost to J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings, who before this, they were basically DOA. So yeah, they fall to number 9, and I'm sure they're going to be writing love letters to Ben Johnson because they're going to want him back. Number 8... We're right there with you. You got the Green Bay mother-loving Packers. The Packers, God, their offense, not efficient. Jordan Love did not have his best game, had a costly interception, and it was nearly 2 interceptions. Savion Williams fumbled. The Packers' pass rush was inefficient. And on top of that, McManus missed another field goal. But other than that, what happened? Oh yeah, Tucker Kraft also tore his ACL. And so I imagine Packers fans are just lining up to volunteer their own.
I volunteer as tribute.
You say the word, Tucker, I'll cut it out right now. But the Packers, yeah, that was a really tough loss. And unfortunately for the Packers, we have seen this before, not only in week 3 against Cleveland, but there have been times and entire halves during games in which the offense has been insanely inconsistent. And as we head into week 10, the Packers have a very tough matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday Night Football. And if they don't come with their best, it is going to be a very long night. And what the frustrating thing is last week, that second half, they looked like juggernauts. We were talking 20 straight completions, 360 yards for Jordan Love. The offense was clicking. The defense was playing well. Complimentary football. But they came out super flat this week against the Panthers. Their run defense, which again was supposed to be really good, allowed the most yards it had all season against Rico Dowdle. And honestly, that's what's really frustrating, is you just don't know where this Packers team is right now. They currently are still leading in the NFC North at number 1, and they are currently the 4 seed in the NFC. So for the Packers, they still have plenty of time to figure it out, but they got to do it sooner rather than later. So for right now, the Packers dropped from number 2 all the way down to number 8, and let's see what they got against the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 7, you got the LA Rams, just slowly but surely climbing up in the power rankings. The Rams, they took care of business against the New Orleans Saints. Puka returned, then got injured, but then turned out to be okay. Matthew Stafford continued to ball. The offense, the defense, they're both playing great. And now Rams fans, they're looking for one thing.
Respect. RESPCT. Find out what it means to me.
And the Rams, before this season started, I was hyping them up to the moon because they seemed like a really good squad. Adding Devontae Adams to go with Puka Nacua was already going to make that passing attack really good, but Matthew Stafford has been sensational this year. And now there's starting to be some rumblings about potential MVP recognition for Stafford, which, listen, he's a great quarterback and he 100% deserves it. And while they did beat up on one of the worst teams in football against the New Orleans Saints, they have won now 3 games in a row. They have a big matchup against the San Francisco 49ers coming up next week, which is a huge matchup considering they already lost to them earlier this season on Thursday Night Football. So if they're able to split the series with them, the Rams are going to continue to climb up these power rankings. And I think sooner rather than later, the media is finally going to give them the respect they deserve.
Respect is nice.
Number 6, you got the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles, who got back into the power rankings last week after winning 2 straight games and also getting Saquon Barkley going on the ground. They didn't even play this week, and yet the Eagles got to watch the Lions and Packers lose while they regained the top seed in the NFC, all while on their bye week.
That was easy.
And now the Eagles got to go into Lambeau Field on Monday night, in which hopefully will be a very good football game and a great test for both squads. We looked at the Eagles, and they have been inconsistent this year. You've looked at Patullo and looked at that offense and things not really clicking. Jalen Hurts got a whole bunch of crap throughout the season. Saquon Barkley couldn't get anything going, but these last 2 games have been very different. Jalen Hurts has been playing really, really well. As I mentioned before, Saquon was able to get things going. And on top of that, they just traded with the Dolphins to make their pass rush even better. And so now for the Philadelphia Eagles, their sights are going to be set on retaining that number 1 seed in the NFC. I think they can definitely do it as long as they remain consistent, especially on the offensive side of the ball. We'll see what they got in store for the Green Bay Packers on Monday night. But yeah, I have a feeling the Eagles are going to be climbing the power rankings pretty darn quickly. Number 5, You got the Denver Broncos. The Broncos are in the top 5 in the power rankings. They have won 6 games in a row and were able to pull off yet another game winner against the Houston Texans. And I gotta say, besides that Cowboys game last week, it just feels like the Broncos offense doesn't want to do anything until it's the fourth quarter.
I don't get out of bed for less than $500,000.
But let's be very honest about the Denver Broncos here. Their defense is really damn good. They were able to contain the Dallas Cowboys, who have a very explosive offense, and now they were able to get a win, yes, it was an ugly win, against one of the best defenses in the NFL. And you want to talk about a variety of wins? They are finding different ways to win these football games, especially earlier in the year when they were losing off these heartbreakers and leverage penalties and game winners. This has been a really nice turnaround for the Denver Broncos. Is their offense perfect? Absolutely not. However, them being able to find ways to win games, in my book, that solidifies them as a good team. We'll see how they play going forward. They got a matchup against the Raiders on Thursday night. We'll see how they're going to be able to contend with Brock Bowers, who just went off on Sunday. And so for now, even though there's still plenty of questions, they've won 6 straight, so that lands them at the number 5 spot. Number 4, you got the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts. Oh boy, 6 turnovers against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jonathan Taylor couldn't get anything going. Daniel Jones was turning the ball over, and it just feels like Indiana Jones met his match this past Sunday.
I need to do this.
Me too. That was a really tough game. However, with some perspective here, the Colts, they have only lost 2 games this season. And considering what we thought about them going into this year, I still think they're pretty good. However, they got punched in the mouth by the Steelers. That Steelers defense absolutely dominated the Colts offense. The amount of turnovers was insane. And the fact that the Colts were even able to crawl their way back into that game, I know it was a little bit sloppy, but hey, at least they made it respectable. They deserve some credit. They are still the top seed in the AFC. And while there are going to be some doubts going forward about their consistency after losing to a Steelers team, which has not looked really good over these past few weeks, they still deserve some credit and are still in the top 5 until proven otherwise. The Colts also made a blockbuster trade today, trading away 2 first-round picks and wide receiver A.D. Mitchell for Sauce Gardner. Obviously, this is a huge move for the Colts, as Sauce was just signed to a major contract this past offseason. So it seems like the Colts are going all in on Indiana Jones and trying to win a Super Bowl this season. We'll see if Jonathan Taylor can get back into his MVP form. They can stop turning the ball over. And yeah, I think they're going to win a few more games. Number 3, you got the Buffalo Bills. The Bills, they did it. They once again have beaten the Chiefs in the regular season.
Hey, I've seen this one. This is a classic.
What has become an annual tradition, the Bills were able to knock off the Kansas City Chiefs in a really good game. But the thing that stands out about the Bills and why they're able to climb up so high was not only because they beat a quality opponent in Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, but that defense these past 2 weeks has looked completely and totally different. Now, they did lose Hoyt from an Achilles injury, and so that definitely is a blow to that defense. But Hairston was able to make an immediate impact picking off Patrick Mahomes. They gave Mahomes no time to breathe whatsoever. You can look at that offensive line of Kansas City, which I know is banged up right now. Simmons is getting back into the building, though, so that should help the Chiefs going forward. But Josh Allen on the offensive side of things, he was rocking all night, and not just his head back trying to draw a foul. He was really damn good on Sunday. And for the Bills, they look to have gotten back in their winning ways. And when you look at that offense, there are still some question marks when it comes to their wide receivers, especially that deep threat. But when James Cook gets going, they have a balanced attack. Josh Allen is one of the best QBs in football. And if that defense looks to have improved, getting those guys back from injury, yeah, they are going to be a contender going forward. And now the only thing left to do is to get into the playoffs and finally beat the Chiefs there. Number 2, you got the New England Patriots. The Patriots, they were able to knock off the Atlanta Falcons, winning their 6th straight game, though things did get a little bit scary at the end.
I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Thankfully, Romo missed that extra point and the Patriots were able to get away with a win. And they looked much better in the beginning of that game than the second half. Drake May definitely did not have his best game, but overall, the fact that the Patriots have been able to put together 6 straight wins, they deserve a ton of credit. Currently, they are the number 2 seed in the AFC. They already have a win over the Bills, and taking a look at their upcoming schedule, the Patriots should be able to win a lot of games. The question is going to be, can they hold on to the AFC East and win that division? We, of course, still have plenty of season left to go. But for right now, the Patriots, who we talked about their ceiling being a wild card team, yeah, they are running that division. They are nearly running the entire conference. And with a young quarterback, yeah, they deserve a hell of a lot of credit. The evil empire has returned. And as long as he's not getting sacked 5 or 6 times every week, Drake May should be okay, and the Patriots are going to win a lot of football games. Which brings us to our brand new number 1 team. You got the Seattle Seahawks. That's right, Seahawks fans. You are currently seeing your team being ranked number 1 by this Packers fan years after the Hail Mary and the NFC Championship game.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Your feelings changed like the weather. God, what have I become? The Seahawks. Yeah, let's talk about them. I've been ranking them pretty high in these power rankings over the past couple of weeks because they have deserved it. Not only are they leading the division in the NFC West in a very competitive division, but they're a really damn good football team. While they still have some injuries to their secondary, their defensive line is phenomenal. Heading into this week, they were the number 1 run defense in the league. They took it away from the Packers, knocking them down to number 2, and I'm sure the Packers are going to be going way, way down after this past Sunday. But their defense has transformed under McDonald, and it is looking really darn good. And again, once they get healthier, it's going to be even better. But let's talk about the offense. Sam Darnold was literally perfect in that first half. No incompletions and 4 touchdowns. They didn't even get the run game going, and they were pulling their starters in the fourth quarter because they had that game well in hand. And while the Commanders did suffer a ton of injuries, the fact that they were able to go on the road, absolutely whoop the Commanders, yeah, they deserve a hell of a lot of credit. And the Seahawks added even more weapons to that explosive offense today, trading for Saints receiver Rashid Shaheed. So we'll see if Sam Darnold is feeling the need for Shaheed soon. As I said before, this is the epitome of a week-to-week league this season, and the Seahawks this week, they looked like the best team in football. And so because of that, they currently rank at number 1. If they're able to get that running game going consistently, watch out. But right now, they got Sam Darnold, they got JSN, who is the best receiver in the league right now, and yeah, hell, they even got Horton, who's getting some touchdowns. So because of that, the Seahawks rank at number 1, and I'm gonna go throw up now. And so just to recap, at number 1, you got the Seahawks, 2 Patriots, 3 Bills, 4 Colts, 5 Broncos, 6 Eagles, 7 Rams, 8 Packers, 9 Lions, and 10 Buccaneers. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Who should be on this list? Who should be off of it? Who knows? I don't. But we'll see. You can find me at TomGrossiComedy.com, and a big shout out and thank you to all the Patreon and YouTube members for supporting this channel. And thank you so much for watching, folks. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.